This week we're talking about Elevation Magazine, Market Watch, and the new Ontario provincial lease. Stay tuned for Condo Corner. Hey, welcome back everyone. This is Stephen Young with Young Realty. I am welcome here today with Marlo Singh of also Young Realty, and we're here talking about three exciting topics today. And right now we want to talk about the most exciting topic, which is Marlo's new listing. Marlo, take it away, please.
Hey, today we're here in Etobicoke at 35 Fontenay Court, Unit 505. It's a one-bedroom and den. I just listed it on the market, 730 square feet, and we're asking $569,900. If you'd like more information or you'd like a tour, give me a call, 416-826-3544, or shoot me an email, marlo@youngrealty.ca.
Yeah, we'll put his contact information up on the video as well, so you can reach out to him. So tell me a little bit about the building. We're sitting in this unit. It's a fantastic unit. The views are absolutely incredible. You can't see on the video, but we're looking at, what is that? I don't even know what that is.
It's the Humber Valley right there.
Humber Valley. It's absolutely incredible. The trees are coming in. It's super bright. The unobstructed view. I can see downtown to the lake. I can see the CN Tower. It's absolutely stunning. So would this be a good rental property, investment property?
This makes a good rental property. Rents out for about $1,700 a month.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
What are the maintenances on? Do you know?
Maintenance is about $430 a month.
$430 per month. So if you want more information, we want to talk about Elevation Magazine. So this is a magazine we publish every single month. This actual listing is in here. It's featured in our new listing section for Fontenay Court. So you can actually pick up this magazine at our website, youngrealty.ca, or you can email us, info@youngrealty.ca, and you can get a hard copy or you can send it digitally. Totally up to you. One of the cool topics this month I wanted to talk about is what is an assignment. So we're sitting in a condominium. This is built, so you said about 3 years ago? 4 years ago?
2015.
2015. So back in 2015, the market was not as hot as it is today, right? And when it was built, probably in 2014, it probably would have taken them at least a year to what we call register. So registration just means where you change title from builder to owner, okay? And what happens in the meantime is from the time of someone purchasing a condominium pre-sale, let's say it was probably in 2010, even 2009, okay? So over 4 to 5, potentially 6 years, it takes that long to get your investment return back, or to a point where you can actually sell the property as your property. So there's something that's, I didn't invent this. It's been around forever. It's been around as long as real estate's been around. It's not even a real estate term. It's a legal term. It's called assigning or assignment. So that's whereby a purchaser or seller come together and you basically buy the paperwork. You literally just buy the offer from the existing person. So as a purchase, if I'm buying from Marlo and Marlo's assigning the property to me, he's actually not assigning a property. He's assigning the original contract from the builder.
Correct.
Okay. So what this article talks about is how to take advantage of assignment. Assignment market is an incredible market. One, it's very, it's really off market. Like no one knows what's available. There's not a great app or a system out there to compile the information. There's a few people who've tried in terms of like creating apps and websites. Mm-hmm. The challenge is getting the information into it and getting the information extracted, keeping it updated. So all that, the summary basically is it's not an easy market to know what's out there. The advantage though as an investor is you can pick up some incredible opportunities, some incredible deals through assigning. One, most agents don't know how to do an assignment properly. I was actually on the assignment committee back in 2011 or 12. It's been a long time, but I was asked to be on the committee to do the paperwork for the real estate agents if you're in Ontario, just because there wasn't many people they could pool and say, hey, do you have experience in it? I have sold hundreds of assignments over my day, and no one knew what to do properly. So I had built my assignment paperwork from scratch with lawyers over years, and they actually used part of my assignment documentation for what we now know as sort of like the blanket paperwork that you guys use as realtors. It's on AREA documents and Toronto Real Estate Board. They do all that stuff. So that being said, I know it inside and out, and what I know best about it, it's an amazing opportunity to get deals. So this particular unit, let's say, so you're asking $569 for today.
Correct.
Okay. So what do you think the value was in 2014?
2014.
Or 2015 even.
A couple of years ago, we're probably thinking somewhere around the mid to low fours.
Mid to low fours. So let's say it's 450 for easy numbers. Okay. So what assignment basically would be if market value is 450 and I can't sell the unit. So builders are very restrictive of what you can sell through an assignment. Okay. You can't put it on MLS. You can't advertise. They have to approve of all assignments. The new purchaser has to have all sorts of criteria that meet the builder's recommendations of financing and deposit. And it's quite complicated, which is probably why not a lot of people do it. That being said, let's say it was 450.
Yeah.
Most sellers through assignment will give a slight to large discount knowing that it's difficult to sell and they just want to move on. They just want to extract their money out from the investment, knowing they won't get their money back for at least 2, potentially 3 years, right? Sometimes longer. Like, One Bloor obviously just comes to mind. I was just talking about this yesterday with a client. And One Bloor is now on its 11th year from purchase as an investor to still not even being allowed to fully sell it properly. Okay. 11 years and you still haven't been able to. So a lot of people over the years have been assigning their One Bloor units just because they need the money back. They wanted to get out of the investment. So they're happy to sort of give the discount. So let's say 450 3 years ago. What an assignment basically would be is I'd say, Marlo, I want your unit. I'm going to buy for $400,000 and I'll give you the money today or tomorrow or next month, whenever we come up with a closing. There's no official closing date of like I'm moving into it because I can't. It's still just a piece of paper, right? But I'd say we'll close next month and you'll get all your money out of it. So then I'm on the hook for the original paperwork that you signed with the builder. So whatever negotiated, whether you negotiate or not with the builder, that's what I have to buy. I can't change that. Okay, so it's up to you. Now, good investors from the get-go, from 2009, 2010, would have negotiated a better contract, which makes that contract more valuable to someone like myself, who's an investor who wants to buy it. You've capped your closing fees, you capped your levies, you capped your disbursements, whatever it is, and it makes it more viable for me as the investor. So those become better assignments than most condominiums that are out there. Okay. So when it comes to that, if you don't know how to assign it or what it is, check out this month's Elevation magazine at youngrealty.ca. It goes into a little bit more detail. We're sort of strapped for time when it comes to these videos. We want to keep you engaged. So we want to move on to the next topic, which is the Market Watch. And Marla, you want to briefly just talk about Market Watch? So Market Watch is the documentation, the actual physical numbers of what happened in the Toronto Real Estate Board's activity in terms of the resale market. So they talk only about the resale market. They don't include the new market. They don't really include the leasing market. There's some information about it, but not specific. So this month we're talking, this is April statistics from last month. And Marlo, you take it away when it comes to Market Watch. What's actually going on?
So according to Market Watch, what we have here in regards to condos is the actual number of condos being sold compared to this time last year is down by 26.4%. All right. So, and the average price has increased by 3.8%.
So the average for just condominiums?
Just condominiums.
Just condominiums. So the big challenge with Market Watch, and sort of this is a nice little soapbox for me to sort of tell some of my worries and sort of discrepancies of what goes on in the media out there. So when it comes to the news articles and newspapers and media outlets, they get the exact same report that I get.
Yes.
Yet, surprisingly, my numbers are drastically different than their numbers. Now, I'm not selling newspaper ads. I'm not selling spots on TV. So I don't need to be as dramatic as, oh my God, the sky is falling. I'm not Chicken Little here. Okay, so you can read this and say, look, the sales is down 32% is what it says here. But that's an overall, that's for the entire market, which makes no sense. There's no such thing as an average home. There's no such thing as an average condominium. Real estate's a very localized marketplace. When it gets down to the Market Watch, what I really love about it is something called the HPI, or the Home Price Index, which is sort of found in the back later half of it. Now, if you want a copy of Market Watch, again, just email us at info@youngrealty.ca. We'll be happy to get that out to you every single month with some of our inputs is what we talk about. So the Home Price Index, if you get down to it, breaks down to neighborhood and specific So there's condominiums, but then there's 1-bedroom condos are different than 2 bedrooms, obviously, and 2 bedrooms are different than 1+ dens or 3 bedrooms, etc. So what the index does, it breaks down categories and then breaks down districts. So it makes it more localized. It makes the numbers more realistic. So when you hear in the media, I think this one, they said the price is down 24%. Price, which is absolutely ridiculous because it's not. Okay, so because what they do is they just take some average blanket. They have here average price in MarketWatch is down 12.4%, but I've seen it as high as 24%, which is the new listings, which is down. So they're probably misinterpreting that information. But the reality of the downtown condo market, if you look at downtown condo market, we could break this down further, but we're just averaging the whole thing's up 9.24% for price. So that's pretty good. Now, we talked about last week about the new construction market, which is up 38.9%.
Right.
So it's had much higher spike. The resale market is up almost 10% year over year. So despite what you hear in the media, despite what you read in the newspaper, these are actual factual numbers. We have nothing to gain from telling you the actual facts. When you get into different categories, there's even some areas here that go up even higher. Some of the home markets have gone up. Not many, but there's been a lot that have been down. Some of the highest hit ones have been Rosedale, sort of the higher end marketplaces. Those homes have gone down significantly. 17% down, 15% down, 20% down at C13, which is sort of north Yonge and Shepherd area. So all that being said, yes, the market is a little strange for the housing market right now, but it's strange because of specifics to certain local areas. Right, and we talked briefly about Pickering last week and how that's down significantly. But there's some here, it's only down 1% at C2. Downtown, it's only down 1% on homes, but the average price is $2 million. So the difference is significant if you look at that. So don't take the average blanket. Just look at more specific, and we'll talk to you about that. So is there anything else you want to talk about when it comes to MarketWatch and the numbers?
That's pretty much it for the condos. Yeah,
so I just want to touch on the fact that the numbers lie a little bit when it comes to averages.
Okay.
Like I said last week, if one house is down by 150,000 and another house is up by 150,000 in price for whatever reason, maybe it's an outlier, the average market price would be 0% increase. Well,
right.
It doesn't tell the story of what's going on. So we want to be more specific with this. There's a lot of things we look at here as well in terms of what's going on in the marketplace. Average sales price to listing price. We want to know days on market, which is actually going up significantly. But again, not much. Months of inventory is 2.5 months. So, rewind a year, I think it was under 1 month. So what that means is there's no other new supply or no other new listing that comes on the market. Whatever inventory is there will be absorbed by the market in less than 1 month. So we're at 2.5 months now. And an overall sort of North American marketplace, even a big city marketplace, 2.5 months is still ridiculously fast. It is crazy fast for multi-million-dollar properties.
We're a little spoiled here in Toronto.
We're very spoiled here in Toronto. So I don't think people understand that. Until you go outside of the marketplace, you won't get it.
Right.
Places we have places in Halifax, it takes 6 months to sell, and they're on average. Okay, yeah. So it's you hit the market in the summertime, you're going to be selling it at Christmas time. That doesn't happen in Toronto. If you take out specific neighborhoods, that's the average again, 2.5%. There's a lot of neighborhoods downtown. I think is even lower than that. We're at 1 month, 1.4 months. So it's if nothing else came on the market, everything on the market right now will be absorbed in 1.4 months. That is a very fast market. It's a very fast-paced market. So again, the increase of price, again, that's a supply and demand thing. The supply numbers are a little soft still. The demand's still there. Price is still going up. So I wouldn't be too concerned about downtown Toronto with a condominium.
Not at all.
That's just my take on it. So switching gears now, I think on downtown condominium markets, one thing we want to talk about is this new government-issued mandatory lease, which I am up in arms about. I can't talk about how bad this is done. It's certainly not built for landlords. It's certainly not built for investors. It's not built with anything in mind other than to gain voters. That's just my take on it. Okay, it's oddly timed, 1 month out from an election that this is mandatory. Okay,
all right.
Not oddly timed. I think it's exactly planned this way. It's not a coincidence. Let's put it that way. So you briefly reviewed this. Have you done one yet?
I did one yesterday.
So May 1st is May 1st, 2018 is when this came in effect. We've known about it for quite some time, but now it's mandatory as of May 1st. And then we're into May, what's the date, 18th or something like that. So, it's still very new. There's still agents. Were you representing the tenant or the landlord?
Representing the landlord in this situation.
Okay, so the challenge with that is there's going to be so many, like you're well educated on this. I think I coach you well enough to know how to use these things properly. There's 65,000 realtors in Toronto. That's what my last number was. It's probably even higher now, but I would gather 90% of them don't know how to use this properly, one.
Okay.
I still am talking to agents 3 weeks into this saying, what lease are you talking about? They have no clue what's going on. Even though we've known about this for months. It's probably been 6 months that this has been launched. Some things of note, and then you could talk about what you're sort of going through in the marketplace there.
Okay.
There's only 1 month rent allowed. Deposit.
Yeah. Last month rent.
Only last month's rent. Now, oh gosh, where do we even start with this? So, as a realtor, we get paid to put together contracts all day, every day. We find tenants, we have landlord clients, we put people together, we ensure that it's good for both parties, we're fair with both parties, but we also want to get paid. So now we're going to be paid from the landlord's only month that they have as a deposit.
Correct.
So the landlord will have zero deposit, nothing.
Remaining.
No security deposit.
Right.
No damage deposit. No last month's rent. Nothing like that of that nature. Okay. Now there are some agents now who are sort of making a hybrid out of this. They're making this as a schedule of the Ontario lease. So right in here is very clear to state anything signed outside of this makes that null and void. Everything null and void. This does not exist if you do that.
Right.
It's a bad thing. Okay. So those are two things for me that I think are bad, but this is filled with nothing but pain. So it's 14 pages long, that's just the lease, which is astronomically long. Like our normal lease is 4 pages. So this is, 3 times longer than our normal lease. So there's more to read through. The two things I like about it, one, I don't have to work hard now anymore because I just say, hey, your government is now issuing this. Good luck. Yeah. Good luck to you. Just sign it. There's nothing I can do. Sorry. Everything's void. If I do anything to change it, it's voided. Okay, that's a big problem. Okay. The other thing I like about it, I do like the fact that everyone's on the same page.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so previous to this, agents would create their own leases. Now, residentially speaking, they're fairly consistent. Commercial is a whole different ballgame, which everyone has their own lease. Landlords want specific things. You don't have the same regulations that fall under the Ontario Tenancy Act. But when it comes to residential, the biggest challenge was agents would be putting things in their leases that they shouldn't be putting in anyway.
That are not legal.
Yeah, they're not legal. They're not proper rights. They'd have like 6 month deposit, which you can't do, and they'd argue that it's contract law. And like technically they're sort of right, but at the end of the day, you just couldn't do that under the Ontario Tenancies Act. So that's probably the only thing I like about it. That is, everyone's consistent. Everyone's on the same page.
Everyone's on the same page.
The problem is, it's a bad page to be on.
What it does do, it does for transactions where realtors are not involved,
right,
and you've got the private individual renting it privately to someone else.
Mm-hmm.
It does clarify a lot of the things and lay out the terms, which makes it a lot simpler for the everyday person to use.
Yeah.
However, there are a lot of clauses missing that the typical realtor would put in.
Oh, I agree 100%. But you're not allowed to put anything in there now about that. Sorry, you want to smoke? Go right ahead. Sorry, landlords. You want pets in there? Go right ahead. We can't do anything about that, landlord. Sorry. You want more than 1 month's rent? Too bad. Can't get it. So, yeah. And here's where it gets very tricky. And I know they didn't talk to realtors at large because the person who runs OREA now is Tim Hudak, the old provincial leader for the Conservative government. He had no interaction with the Liberal governments who put this into place, which is really, and it gets into political, and I don't really want to get into that today, but the fact that they politicize this a little bit and then say, we're just going to do our own thing and not go to the realtor base and say, what do you guys need? What do you see from a landlord's point of view?
What benefits everyone?
What benefits everybody? And they didn't do that. They just blanket and say, we need votes come June. And we're going to launch this in May to get those votes for a lot of tenants in Ontario. And that's just what's happened, sadly. So on that note, though, it's like, how in here it talks about, now this has always been in place. It's not new. But whatever rent you're holding of a tenant in Ontario, you have to give them interest at marginal sort of like bank rates, I think. And then get into specifics of what it should be here. What they don't go into detail about is if they're hiring me or Marlo to the lease and they don't have a last month's rent, you still owe the tenant money on that non-existent rent now.
Yeah.
Whereas back in the day, it would be first and last month's rent. The first month would go towards the agents, the last month would be held by a landlord, and that last month's rent would be charged interest, and the tenant would get the interest down the road. Now, most tenants do not know that information. They do not know that's the law. So now we're talking about literally dollars, if that. Right. On like $2,000, you might buy a coffee at the end of the year, if that.
Right.
Okay. You're spending more on the check that you have to issue than the actual amount of money. But they go into such specifics about it, like who's involved with it, and I just think it's very strange. This is going to get nothing but messy moving forward. Agents are already starting to put this into like a hybrid, which I sort of briefly talked about, where they're using this as a schedule, or they're using this with a schedule, and the other schedule is like the Ontario lease, like the realtor's lease that had
the standard realtor lease we would normally use. And then they're attaching this as an additional schedule.
You can't do that. It's very clear. You just can't do that, period, right? And the biggest challenge with all that, it's like who's gonna benefit from this most? And ultimately it's gonna be the tenants, and I think that's a good thing for tenants everywhere. But at the end of the day, where they're going to suffer is the landlord's going to say, look at the pain I've got to go through. I myself have a lot of properties. I'm like, look at the pain I personally have to go through just to get this done. I can't even do my own leases to a point now where it's like, this isn't even easy to fill out. It takes an hour to fill this thing out. Right?
It's essentially the name of the people involved,
the
rent being paid.
Yeah, well, it gets more specific than that.
Key deposits, things like that.
You basically have to go and fill out every single clause by hand.
Correct.
For the most part. I think they have an option online now where you can sort of fill it out online, but it takes a lot longer. I'm just going through this really briefly, but this only smoking regulation is pertaining to the building. So the building doesn't have regulation about smoking, which most do or do not. But but not the internal unit of residential.
Right.
It's just the building itself, not in the hallways or elevators. But for the internal units, they don't have laws. So everyone's allowed to smoke. It doesn't matter. It's a blanket statement. There's no proficiencies about like if you damage the property, too bad.
Yeah.
If your guests damage it, too bad. Like it's very strange how they built this and structured it. I think they briefly talked about Airbnbs as well. I didn't get into too much detail about assignments and subletting. But I think they specify something about that here. Did you go through that?
Nothing about Airbnbs.
No? Nothing specific
Nothing about the Airbnbs. All it says in regards to assignment and subletting they have the right with consent of the landlord to sublet. Landlord cannot arbitrarily or unreasonably withhold consent to sublet.
Yeah, it just says there's more conditions on Schedule P. We're down. What does this go to? It goes to
so
P,
Schedule P
goes to U. Okay, almost the whole alphabet of additional things. So P, we got assigning and subletting.
Which is essentially just the definitions.
Yeah. So where they sort of get even Airbnb, they're just like squashing them all together, saying you can't charge a higher rent than what the landlord's charging you, which is a no-brainer. So we used to coach agents and our clients about something called lease optioning, where you rent something for $2,000 and you rent it fully furnished for $2,200 a month, and you make the spread. Can't do that anymore. So that eliminates a lot of income for a lot of people. Airbnbs you can't do because you'd be getting more rent theoretically from an Airbnb than you would from a monthly rent. So again, they're out of the picture. So again, they did not consult businesses. They did not consult investors. They are very consistent with who they want to vote for them and who they don't want voting for them. They don't like investors. They don't like real estate people. They just want tenants' votes. So that's my view on it, and it's probably gonna ruffle a few feathers, but I don't really care. I'm just telling the facts here. So it says charge the subtenant for additional goods or services like HST and whatnot. You can't do that. It's fairly straightforward, but again, just my take on it was that they've eliminated Airbnb, they've eliminated subletting for the most part, they've eliminated lease optioning, they've eliminated a lot of things that are going to drive revenues down for most people. But now where the landlords are sort of making up for it, and we can talk about this next week, it's getting a little long here on the video, is that we have to, as a landlord, I have to recoup my costs somehow.
Right.
Okay, so we're doing a lease now. Last year, the rent was $2,800 a month, and it was a high rent for the time because rented at the peak season. This year, $3,500 a month is what the rent is. It's $700 per month more because I have to compensate for my loss of all these things I have to account for. So that's a big problem, and that's on the onus of the tenants. So the tenants are celebrating that, yay, someone's representing us. The government's finally representing us. We got this standardized lease. What the government failed to tell them is that they're going to be paying $10,000 more this year than they did last year. So thank you for that. So Mark, what if you have anything to add to this? please do it now. Otherwise, we'll call it a day. It's
Pretty
fairly long.
straightforward
Yeah,
with the lease.
yeah.
For landlords and tenants who need further explanation, by all means, give us a call, and we'd be happy to walk you guys through it.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us on this week's Condo Corner.
Thank you.